Welcome to the Side Action Podcast, the sports gambling show that covers everything in the world of sports betting from A through Z. We'll cover the four major sports, as well as anything and everything in between worth some action, and will increase the size of your bankroll. And here we go.
All right, welcome to the Side Action episode 2 of season 7. My name is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me on X at Wegspool and on Instagram.
Nice, you did it. You're getting better every week.
I've been practicing.
Yeah, so we're putting those hours in. That's right. Anyway, I'm Coop. You can check me on Instagram at Dalton Cooper, on X at Mr. Grumpy Gills. Again, we are the Side Action Podcast. Check us out on Instagram and on Twitter and on YouTube
and on X.
Yeah, we're on all the social media platforms. If you haven't found us by now, that's probably your user error.
I will challenge you, or maybe we should just do this. Maybe you should make a TikTok.
Oh. I don't even have one, to be honest. Maybe we should make one for the Side Action?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I heard we should TikTok. I mean,
maybe.
Maybe I can do a clip of the videos. And
that wouldn't be too difficult, honestly. We could.
Well, we definitely should do it when we're out in
Vegas. Yeah. Oh, don't worry. You got your media guy with you on Vegas.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Did you figure out how to pack the belt and the camera?
I did. I got a suitcase. I'm just going to check a bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good man. Well, okay, so we've obviously had a big weekend. It's Labor Day weekend. Yeah. We're filming on Sunday. It's the 1st of September. We're out of August already. Wow. We were at AVP. Somebody had a media credential.
Did you lose your voice, by the way? Who were you yelling at?
I've been out like 3 days in a row, dude. I had the happy hour, then I had the softball party on Friday, and then it was Greg's party. You know Gregg Gallagher? You met Gregg Gallagher?
He came. Did he do the?
He did softball last year. So it was his 50th yesterday. We were at Shuba's. He had a private concert. Of course, You're like talking over that. Plus at AVP. Yeah, I got no voice.
Nice.
Thank you for
shout out to Greg. Happy late birthday.
Yeah, happy late birthday. Yeah. So, but anyway, you got a media credential for AVP.
That was a good time on Friday. It was hot. It got real hot real quick too.
On Friday?
Yeah,
well,
it was the hottest day. It was the hottest day of the week.
Yeah, at least it wasn't sunny.
At least it wasn't Thursday where it was like 95. That'd have been awful.
Yeah, that was rough.
But great time. I got to do some cool content. There's a little bit of a snickle-frit, if you will, with the whole AVP situation going down. Yeah. So,
you mean them charging?
No, well that and one of our esteemed colleagues actually got his credential taken away.
So,
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So he's it's on his Instagram. You'd have to check out Chicago Volleyball on Instagram. Great content, by the way, whether it's indoor or outdoor. He's got POV cams and a lot of different cool stuff.
He's got the drones. He's got the GoPro on Sean Cook. We saw him run into the wall.
Dive into the wall. Yeah.
That was awesome.
So, but yeah, great guy, great content. Check out his page. Give Chicago Volleyball a follow if you're into any kind of volleyball or sports in general. Just cool stuff to check out for sure.
Sure.
So, and yeah, I did a DJ shoot last night down at Spy Bar.
I've been there a long time ago. Yep.
Yeah, my first time. I lost my Spy Bar virginity.
Oh, you never went there?
No, never been. Never been.
Big DJ head spot.
It was really cool. They had Riverfest or North Riverfest or
River North,
yeah, River North Festival going on this weekend. So they had a couple headliners. Luckily, I know Casey through Jordan's one of his buddies, so he's been looking for a media guy. So I got to experience that. That was a good time. I haven't been inside like the club like that in a minute. So and then of course we had college football this weekend. So
did you go back to AVP today?
No, I did not. I had a bunch of schoolwork I had to catch up on.
I wasn't sure if you got media pass for all 3 days.
No, I definitely did. I had way too much schoolwork. Okay. With us going to Vegas, I wanted to get that all taken care of. That way I didn't have to worry about it. So
Steph was mad at you, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I missed the shove heard around the world, but we'll talk about that too.
I know. Foreshadowing. So, well, I guess we'll just roll right into that then, because that was a nice segue.
Thank you.
By my guy here. So, who are you, Coop, taking to the shed this week?
I am taking Trevor Crabb to the shed.
Okay.
Flop City, if you will.
Yeah.
I can't wait for AVP next year. I'm going to make so many signs, just to hopefully maybe get under his skin a little bit. I'm hoping that I can make such a ridiculous sign that he asks for it to be removed. That's my goal for next year. Yeah, is to get underneath his skin. So
just for the listeners that don't know who Trevor Crabb is,
he's obviously a player on the AVP tour. But he got into it with Chase Buttinger. Buttinger. And rumor has it he was talking a bunch of smack because they were basically the alternate team behind Chase and them to make the Olympics.
They beat them out to get to the Olympics.
Yeah, it was basically on like a technicality or like a point system.
Yep.
Like it wasn't necessarily because they were better or anything like that. So,
that's right.
But if you watch that video, that was definitely a flop for one thing.
Yeah, so what happened was Buttinger gets blocked by Crabb, at the switch, at the 4-3 switch.
Yeah.
And then he goes under the net, because you usually go under the net, continue on the switch, and he's like flexing and whatever, and kind of bumped into Buttinger, if you've seen the video.
And they've been kind of jawing previously.
Oh, yeah, and this has been a Twitter war, whatever, or an X war, Instagram war for a few weeks now. So then he, Buttinger like gets in his face and then gives him a shove, but he's a big guy, obviously, both of them are.
Yeah.
But then, he did the whole
flop, the whole like straight on your back, like taking a charge. Yeah, like he took a charge in basketball, basically. But
they give out red cards, too, which is weird. Like, in soccer, a red card means you're out. But they gave a red card, which actually they awarded each team a point. Because they both got red cards, Buttinger and Trevor. It was really weird. I saw it a couple times.
The funniest thing about the whole ordeal was they all stood there and looked at each other like who was supposed to serve the next point. That was the funniest thing about the whole ordeal. But yeah, if anything, it's good for the AVP. We need parity. And it's a contact sport. There's only 363 more days until next year's Chicago Open, so we got to toughen up,
It is, but it's always, you need a heel, right? You need somebody, the Trevor Crabb of AVP, to spur some interest. Like in wrestling, there's always some guy we root against.
Yeah.
We obviously root for Brandy. She actually should have made Club Dub. Not too late. But anyway, well, let's.
Who'd you have in the shed?
I had. And I didn't watch a lot of college football. I was busy all weekend, but I've kept up with some scores. And one of the scores we had talked about in Miami last week being pretty good.
Yeah, Cam Ward was the quarterback I couldn't think of, by the way. Transferred from Washington State last year. Yeah.
So he balled, but Florida just looked bad. They look real bad. Billy Napier, SEC, and look, he got a vote of confidence from the AD. So, we want him here for a long time. But there's rumblings right now that, did you see he got into it with the mascot in the tunnel is what I read.
No,
the Gator mascot had some words for Coach Napier. What are we doing out there and whatever. I mean, they did throw for 122 yards in the game. I mean, that's not impressive. But anyway, Billy Napier, welcome to the shed. Hopefully you make it through the season because it's not looking too good so far.
No. Florida's a big expectation program. They want to win. So there's been a rich history of them winning. Not necessarily a shed topic, but at least want to send out the condolences to the Gaudreau family. I don't know if you saw that on Thursday night. Unfortunately, Johnny and Matthew, unfortunately.
For a wedding weekend, too.
They were in New Jersey, Philly area for their sister's wedding that was supposed to happen on Friday. Yep. Unfortunately, a drunk driver decided him while they were out riding their bikes.
Riding bikes.
And unfortunately passed away. It's just a real tragedy, if anything.
He just got paid too. Like, he got a big contract.
A couple years ago he signed in Columbus. Kind of close to home too, because I've seen him play probably 30 or 40 times being in the area. So just a shout out to them and condolences, obviously. And that was it's just a tough scene. It just seems like the Blue Jackets have had a hell of a last couple of years, because even Mativis unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, and it's just a tough scene there. But
gotcha. Yeah. I mean, put the DUI guys in the shed, man.
Yeah, I hope he goes away for quite a while.
No kidding. So on the positive side, Club Dub, I'll go first.
And you got another one to throw in there.
Yeah, I'm going to throw one in. But I'll start with college football first. We both like this guy, and good luck in pronouncing this guy's name. Wide receiver from Arizona, Terrio McMillan. I like McMillan. This dude was dominant. 10 catches, 304 yards, 4 touchdowns. But look at these the touchdowns. 17 yards, 40, 69, and 78-yard touchdowns. Dude was the man. Obviously, they beat up on, it was New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
But actually, it was kind of a high-scoring game. When I first saw it, I was like, Arizona pick, not for the week, but just in general, what's going to be in jeopardy. But they put up the point. Welcome to Club Dub. Come on in. You got some good receptions. Maybe next week will be different.
Yeah, bottle service.
Yeah, and then please get some drinks for Brandy Wilkerson, and we'll also put Melissa, Paredes.
Yeah.
She's awesome too. So they won the Chicago Open. The ladies who lost in the gold medal match won the silver in the Olympics, but they win the Chicago Open, which is all they really care about. They didn't care about the Olympics.
No.
They care about the Chicago Open.
That's all about the Chicago Open. That's what I hear. It's like the Super Bowl for them.
Right. I mean, she doesn't know that she's the next ex-Mrs. Weglars yet, but someday she will understand that.
No, I'm pulling for you. Everybody here at the Side Action Podcast is pulling for that to happen, for sure.
Exactly. So
I had a couple. So the first one I had was Kyle McCord. I know we were kind of downplaying him in our college football preview, but he actually balled out for Syracuse. He was 27 to 39. He had 354 and 4 touchdowns. So they did play Ohio University, which, hey, the MAC can be frisky. Yeah,
they can be.
Some action, We're not getting to that time of year yet, but still a good game. Syracuse obviously doing well. Scotty Scheffler is going to Club Dub. He's got a nice payday. $25 million for the Tour Championship winner today.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
So, first man in PGA history to win the Masters, the Players, and the Tour Championship in the same season. Not even Tiger did it. Hell of a season. Arguably one of the greatest seasons the PGA has ever seen. So, we're definitely going to put him in Club Dub. And then earlier this week, I don't know if you saw this one, but Caitlin Clark actually broke the WNBA rookie record for most threes in a season. So, I think she's got 4 or 5 more games, and she's going to keep pouring on. She just had 30. Yeah, she just had 31 or 33 against the Chicago Sky on Friday or Thursday. Yeah, shout out to her. We're making room for her in Club Dub.
I did read something again on X. It may not be factual, but that like 80% of the flagrant fouls in the league have been called, like they've been committed on Caitlin Clark.
I don't doubt
and like 60% are from the Chicago Sky.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess they're probably in the same division.
Yeah, and they play a couple times and got Angel Reeds and all that.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, but it's, again, hold back to the parody thing, the heel and the the baby face.
Let's go. Let's keep the ratings.
Yeah,
up, let's do it. So. All right, well, Coop, this week we're going to dig into the NFL preview. That's specifically what we're talking about today. We'll move to regular format next episode, which is actually going to be Friday, I guess, Friday from Vegas, where we'll talk college football and we'll talk the NFL. But this is only the NFL just for the futures and how we think about teams. So let's dig into it. We got a lot to talk about here. We'll talk about the AFC and all the divisions, then the NFC. And I'm going to run down all this information. Take it. It's probably changing every second, but still, we'll start at the top with the AFC East. And obviously, the Bills have been dominating this division since Brady left. They're plus 170 to win the division. They're looking pretty good actually for the AFC at plus 800 and the Super Bowl plus 1600. But it's interesting for the rest of the division, the odds of the Jets plus 180, which is better than the Dolphins at plus 210, which I find interesting when you talk about it. And then the Patriots are arguably the worst team in the NFL this year. At plus 2,800 for the division. I got to get this. 22,500. That's like, what is that?
It's like
2250 to 1 if you want to pick the Super Bowl winners. You're a New England Patriots. So let's talk generally about the division. Who do you like? And then I know you're a Fins guy. Or at least you've been a Fins up guy in the past. What do you think about the little disrespect here, I think?
It's tough. Well, I think if anything, I think they're going by the weather factor. It's a warm weather team. They've proven year in, year out when you put them in cold weather, they don't play well. And that's where all the big games are played. They're in December and January. The season doesn't start until after Thanksgiving, right? That's when all the good teams really start getting together. The one thing I really worry about with the Bills is their wide receiver depth.
Yeah.
Like, Shakir and Curtis Samuel are like their two best receivers. They're definitely going to run a lot more 22 personnel this year. They're going to run 2 tight ends, probably exclusively. James Cook is going to have to be an animal. Yeah, he's going to have to be the guy. He's going to have to, he played well towards the end of the year last year.
He closed.
And he's going to have to start that way this year for this team to be successful. So,
and I like Dalton Kincaid at tight end if you're a fantasy guy. But he'll probably be their number 1 receiver, to be honest with you.
Honestly,
most targeted anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And the Jets are like the dark horse. If they could stay healthy, the Jets do have a good roster. They just have a lot of drama going on. They just have, I feel like they have way too many distractions. It's already New York City. Between being in New York, the stain of the franchise, the quarterback, and now like Hassan Reddick not even showing up. The guy they traded for is not even going to be in the locker room or even playing. So
he's holding out.
It's just I have to see it with them.
Yeah, and obviously we know Zach Wilson's gone there. They think they have Tyrod Taylor now as the backup in case Aaron Rodgers goes down. So the thing is and last year, look, I was on the Jets hype train. Part of it was Hard Knocks. You get suckered in. I kind of had them being a dark horse, maybe even in the AFC, but they stunk. He obviously went down the third play, but Zach Wilson was terrible, and they just couldn't get it done. They weren't a very good football team. So I'm a little surprised at the odds, not because obviously Rodgers is quote unquote healthy, but he ain't young. Right. He could get hurt again. And the Dolphins, I don't know, man. And it's hard. You kind of swayed me. You swayed me, right? The Dolphins, they have the best offense in the division. That's no question. It's about the defense. They did lose some guys, but I just feel like they're going to be better. 210, I like this plus 210 price for this division. I do have them in the playoffs. I think the Bills are going to be right there with them, but I just, to your point, the Bills offense, and then they are kind of, they did get in the playoffs and got hot late last year, but they were kind of a downer last year overall.
Yeah.
And I even think Coach was on the hot seat last year. He might not be this
Sean
year. Sean McDermott. So I just don't think the Bills are in the same position they were a year ago where it was like clear cut, probably going to win the division. I think the Dolphins are a really good shot here, and it's just a matter of, they paid both receivers, which is insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
Maybe he should have played a defensive player. Not sure.
Maybe we'll see. But the one thing that I really do like about the Dolphins is usually on a typical basis from year to year in the league, when you have a good offense, it usually translates from year to year. So if you have a good offense one year, it usually, as long as you bring everybody back or don't have a lot of moving parts, injuries, etc., that usually translates well. So Mike McDaniel's probably the best offensive coach in that division. I would argue. From that standpoint, it's going to be interesting to see if Devon Achane can stay healthy for the entire year.
He's key.
With him and Mostert. Obviously, they have Waddle and Hill. The biggest thing with them is going to be game script. I don't know if you knew this or not, but Jalen Waddle only had 18 catches in the fourth quarter last year, all of last year, because of game script, and obviously some of the games they were blowing people out. They didn't have to throw the ball. I see a lot of the game script maybe flipping, so I really like him in fantasy this year. If you're gonna that might be my ride or die this year, is Jalen Waddle. Yeah. And plus the caveat, if Tyreek were to get injured, cross our fingers, God forbid it doesn't happen, but if it were, he's definitely going to be the number one guy. When you look at target share in that offense, 65% of the targets go to Hill or Waddle. So Mike McDaniel gets the ball to the guys that are best on this team. It's not like Durham Smythe gets like 9 targets randomly. That never happens. So that's the one thing I do like about the Dolphins, is that they make a concerted effort to get the best players on their team the ball.
And they did pay Tua too. Should have mentioned that. He got paid. So
I think you put him in Club Dub last week, eh?
Yeah, I did. That's right, with Jordan Love. So the thing is that I don't know. I think they're getting disrespected in the odds. So I will bet this plus 210. I will for the division. I'm not going to go Super Bowl odds. Some suspect defense per se in the late stuff. But the thing is, the Bills won the division, and they're going to get the first place schedule. Yeah. So the Chiefs get to avoid that. The Dolphins get to avoid that. They don't necessarily have to play, everybody else that they do. The Jets, like you said, could be the dark horse. I just don't buy it until I see it, So anyway, should we even talk about the Patriots? We haven't mentioned, but besides them being terrible, Mayo's, obviously Bill Belichick's gone. So it's the Gerard Mayo era, which is, again, it's like we talked about last week with Nick Saban. You're following the legend. It's going to be rough there. And it sounds like they're not even going to play Drake May off the bat, which is fine, maybe. That team's going to struggle, so we can ignore it. But it would be a good fade team, like go against the Patriots, especially in Survivor.
Yeah, well, it's like the White Sox, right? Yeah. And basically, if you just keep betting against them, you should be all right. Yeah,
should make money. Okay, so do you? In your mind,
and actually, they have the second hardest schedule in the league. The Patriots do.
The Patriots.
The Patriots have the second hardest schedule coming up this season. So, and they actually have. Let's see here. They're in the top half of the league in rest deviation as well. So that breaks down so if you play on a Thursday night, and then obviously you only get maybe 4 or 5 days, or some teams play on Christmas or that kind of stuff. So that's a really big deal. I think the team that really benefits it this year is the Falcons. So that's the biggest. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, we'll talk about them.
Deviation.
Yeah.
So do you still like the Bills to win the division, or are you going to fins up, or are you going Jets?
Oh man, I think I'm going to go Jets.
Okay.
I think they have to.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I hopefully if I don't pick my team, they'll surprise me. That's kind of where I'm going. I'm going a little reverse psychology here. So though, if I do feel that if the Dolphins can find a way to get the number 1 seed, the sky is the limit.
Yeah,
at that point.
Miami.
So we'll definitely see what happens. But yeah, I like the Jets. They've got a good defense. So even if technically, I guess even if Aaron Rodgers didn't play the whole season, they did shore up their offensive line in the offseason. They got Tyrod Smith and some other guys.
Yeah, it's true.
But at least Tyrod Taylor can, I think, hold the fort down. It's not going to Zach. Yeah, it's not going to Zach Wilson. So with their defense, if you scored 20 points a game, 24 points a game, they're going to be right there every time.
Right.
So
I think that the problem is they got 2 good offenses in the divisions. All right, let's move on to the North, the AFC North. This is arguably, I'm going to say that it is the toughest division in the NFL. We can argue that another time. But you've got the Ravens at plus 140 to win it. The Bengals at plus 150, just right after them. Drops a bit with the Browns plus 550, and then the Steelers plus 750. All these teams actually have pretty good odds overall. When you look at across the board, the Ravens are, a second favorite in the AFC at plus 500, plus 1,000 to win the Super Bowl. The Bengals plus 700 AFC, and the plus 1,400 for the Super Bowl. Drops off for the Browns quite a bit. So what I would say is, this is like last year. I besmirched John Harbaugh last year on the preview, so sorry, John. But what happened in the goddamn playoff game? It's just you can't count on this team in the playoffs, which is sad.
Well, they threw the ball way too much.
Yeah, of course they didn't run the ball
at
all.
I don't
know what the hell happened there. They did lose Mike McDonald, who's now the Seattle head coach. Maybe that doesn't matter.
But they added Derrick Henry.
They did. They added Derrick Henry, and obviously, so they're going to be great. We know they're going to be good. Will they get it done late? I have them winning this division, a hotly contested division.
Really? Okay.
But I will candidly say, and we'll get to the picks later, but I really like the Bengals this year. I
Yeah.
liked them last year.
Yeah.
Come on, Joe, stay healthy. They've paid T. Higgins is franchised. Do they pay him? Like they make him a long-term deal?
No. He's
franchised.
Yeah, he's playing on a franchise tag this year. This is probably the last year the band is going to be together.
Yeah, right.
Because they're going to have to pay Chase next year as well.
Well, and he's holding out right now, right? Yeah. He hasn't shown up.
Well, he's been there, but he's been there in spurts. Like he'll show up for like 15 minutes and then
right.
head out.
And they lost Mixon to Houston, but I love Anarumo, the DC, so I really like that. And they were competitive without Burrow last year.
They were almost a playoff team.
9-8.
Yeah, they were right there. They could have been in the playoffs. Yeah.
So I like them. Not necessarily to win the division. Again, this is a division highly contested at the top. I mean, Cleveland plus 550. That price seems wrong because they're really a good football team, right? Great defense, but do you know what you're going to get out of Deshaun Watson this year?
No, you don't. And Chubb's hurt to start the season as well. They're going to miss him the first 4 games. But the biggest caveat to this whole thing is that the Bengals have the 6th easiest schedule.
Yeah.
The rest of the AFC North, the Ravens have the 29th, the Browns have the 30th, and the Steelers have the hardest schedule in the league. Yeah. So the other 3 teams in this division are playing just a murderer's row of teams, and the Bengals got that huge break in scheduling.
And to be honest with you, in betting the Ravens for the division, I would wait. They open up in a very difficult schedule. I mean, obviously, go to Kansas City right away, but I've got them at like 2-2 or 3-3 when they start off the season, and then they kind of roll late.
Yeah.
So you could get a better divisional price later on. Let's talk a little bit about the Steelers, though. They are going to go with Russell Wilson. They acquired Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. So it's kind of like, I actually thought Fields was going to win the job, but I guess he can't see the field, so they're going to go with Wilson. But I think Wilson's washed. I don't know. We'll see. They did get Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator, so they're going to just run the damn ball all the time. Going to be a totally different team per se, but I've already written in the article that I posted this week on Wegs Pool. This is going to be the year. They're not going to break 500. 8-9. That's my pick for the Steelers. They're not going to break. This is going to be the first losing season.
You think they're going to win? You think they're going to win 8 games?
Well,
I think they're only going to win like 5.
Well,
5 or 6.
We're talking about Mike Tomlin here.
That doesn't matter.
I know it's going to be the first losing season for sure. We agree on that.
Oh yeah.
Whether the number of wins is fine.
It's like an unwritten rule in Pittsburgh that you can't talk down on Mike Tomlin, or you can't say anything bad about him. But the man's been there for almost a decade now, and they still haven't
20 years.
They still haven't fixed the offensive line for this team.
Right.
It's still awful. They still have the same inconsistencies that they had when he got there. The only thing that was covering all that up was they still had Big Ben, and they haven't won a playoff game since I think like 2011, I believe, and that's when Ben was still. Yeah, I think it's been that long since they've won a playoff game. So it's obviously the Rooneys don't really change a lot. They've only had 4 head coaches in the whole history of the Steelers. So I think it's going to be interesting if the sky does start to fall in Pittsburgh, like how the fan base, how the ownership team, how everybody reacts there. So yeah, I don't see them being a very good football team this year. Obviously, they still got the defense. They still got T.J. Watt, but he can't win games by himself, can he?
No, he can't. But I will tell you this: like last year, going to Circa and being a Stadium Swim and watching the Steelers beat the Bengals in week 1, which was unfathomable because they were so bad, but they forced 5 turnovers and they won in overtime. It's one of those things. I agree with you. They're not going to be very good, but I was kind of shitting on them last year, and they still won 9 games, I think, last year. So I hear you. We're in agreement on this one. They're not going to be as good. They're going to be under 500 at just a matter of how many games. So that's the only team in this division not to throw away, but the other 3 are very competitive. So let's talk a little bit about the Browns. I mean, we talked about their defense ad nauseum, and they have a great defense. Myles Garrett's always been in the mix for defensive player of the year, but would you ride this team? And they rode Joe Flacco deep in the season, and that really helped them. It was almost better than Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So Chubb's going to be out, but do you think they have any shot here?
The only thing that worries me about them is when you look at their deviation on defense is they were historically good at home, but if they went on the road, they were a completely different defense away from Cleveland. I think their points per game at home was right around 14 or 15, and then on the road it bubbled up to 25 or 26.
Yeah, Houston just lit them up in that playoff.
Well, and there was a couple other games. Indy last year they played that big shootout game. I think the Browns didn't win, but it was 42-40 or whatever it was. I have a hard time having faith in this team outside of Cleveland. I think the weather really helps their style of play.
Yes.
The Bills are almost adopting the Cleveland model, in my opinion, by being more of a physical team and kind of playing into their weather advantage. So
which they should.
They should. They definitely have a better quarterback than Cleveland, obviously, but I have a hard time. I just think that they have maybe the 3rd best coach in their division too. Kevin Stefanski's really good, but Actually, probably the second best coach. He's probably better than Zach.
He's better than Zach Taylor, but the defensive coordinator is probably better than. Not necessarily better, but he boosts up the coaching staff. Yeah. So you still like the Ravens then?
No, I love the Bengals.
You like Bengals?
Oh
okay.
yeah, they got such an easy schedule. As long as Burrow stays upright, I mean, we've seen what this team can do. So it all relies on the health of number 9.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it later, I do love the Bengals to win the AFC. I'm big on that. We'll talk about that later.
Little Chase Brown action?
Yeah.
Sprinkle that
in
there?
Yeah, that's right. We talked about the running backs there. So, all right, so the AFC South, this is an interesting division, we'll call it. The Texans come out now; they're a plus 105 favorite to win the South. Last year was a super long shot, and they won it. The Jags have dropped to plus 275, Colts plus 325, and then the Titans plus 950. So clearly, the odds makers think Houston's good. I was listening to some podcasts today. Some people have rated their roster as the top 5 roster because they did get a lot of players. Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon. There's other players on defense they've added. We know how good C.J. Stroud is. I just think they're playing a first place schedule, dude. I still have them winning division. I'm not saying that, but I think if we talked about this before, the end of this schedule, the last 6 games is really difficult. They play like Kansas City, Baltimore. They start playing all those number 1, first place teams. So if they can get off early, then they have a good shot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know that's what he said anyway. But yeah, they have a good shot. But the Jags, I'm not saying they're going to bounce back tremendously. They're about the same squad as last year, but I think when Lawrence got hurt, the team wasn't good.
Yeah, and to your point, the last 5 games of the season for the Texans, they play the Jags, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Ravens, and then the Titans. So
yeah, it's
definitely going to be a stretch. They also play the Lions a couple games before that.
Yeah, the Cowboys too, right? You don't like the Cowboys?
We'll talk about that.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, though they definitely do have I think the 21st schedule, 26th. So they do have a tough schedule by the metrics of who makes the schedule. Right. The easiest schedule in this division by far is the Colts. So the Colts have a really good. They have the 7th easiest schedule in the league. They're right behind the Bengals. So they could be frisky, but I really like the Texans. I think C.J. Stroud makes the difference. Obviously, he can make them go. They have way too many weapons on offense for this. They have Tank Dell. They have Nico Collins. You didn't even mention on top of already Stephon Diggs and Dalton Schultz. So
let's not forget Dalton.
They've got
Dalton Club.
Yeah. They've got
should be a tight end.
They've got more than more of a linebacker, definitely more of a physical. But no, this team's really good. They have Will Anderson on defense as well.
He was great last year too.
I believe he was Rookie of the Year last year.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. They have both offense and defense.
Yeah,
kind of like what the Jets did. The year before, right?
Yep. But yeah, I really like the Texans.
So here's the thing: do you like the AFC future at plus 800 or the Super Bowl at plus 1600?
I like
good odds.
I like the Super Bowl pick.
Yeah, 16 to 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good one. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think they're still going to be good. I've got them winning this division, actually having a really good record, but I don't know about deep in the playoffs. We'll see. The Colts are the dark horse to me, not just because of the strength of schedule that you talked about. Anthony Richardson, when he was on the field, he was incredible, but can he stay on the field? He only played 4 games last year, had like 2 concussions in 4 games. If he stays healthy, this team's I know Gardner took them nearly to the playoffs last year. I think he could be a big difference maker. The problem is I don't know if he can. And they've got Flacco behind him. Sure, Flacco caught lightning in a bottle last year. I don't see that happening again. But the Jags, they're still there. I don't know. They didn't really add a lot in the offseason. So
they lost Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, maybe that's a plus. Addition by subtraction. I don't know if that guy's he's kind of a tool.
Yeah.
And he went to the Titans actually.
Yeah.
So is there any the Titans, we haven't talked about it, the gun show, Will Levis, they arguably a pretty bad team this year. They're going to play opening game here in Chicago. I only picked them up in the fantasy world as a late pick because they're going to be losing a lot of games. They're going to be chucking it.
Yeah. I like Tajay Spears as a fantasy sleeper from the Titans too. Obviously, they have Tony Pollard as well, but I think Tajay Spears is going to, from a regression standpoint, if you look at the every running back after their 4th year or 5th year, you see a sharp decline in production and tackle efficiency, or I guess missed tackle efficiency, whatever. Right. So I think it's going to be a tough season for the Titans. I still don't understand why they got rid of Mike Vrabel. He was never the problem in my opinion. And I can't believe he didn't get a job. I think he's with Cleveland as an advisor actually right now. Yeah, so I think he's on the Browns staff. But I think if you're going to pick a dark horse, I think it's the Jags. I think
bounce back.
Trevor got paid. If he
did.
could stay healthy, I think he was playing pretty banged up their last 8 games of the season because they were like 6-3. I think at one point
they were 9-3.
9-3.
Wait, it was 8-3 because they ended up. I think they won 9 games, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah, and they ended up kind of falling apart down the stretch because of obviously his health. But I like the Texans to win a division, but I think if you were going to go somewhere else, or if you were going to maybe
plus 275 is a good number.
Yeah, a sneaky AFC pick, to win you could go Jacksonville. So they open against Miami actually. So
that'll be
we'll see. We'll see how they go that way. But to your point with the Colts, you actually get a full season, full camp of Jonathan Taylor as well. So that could be a big difference for them. With that read option game, could be a lot to handle between him and Richardson. So, and they still have Michael Pittman, obviously, a great wide receiver.
More the defense for me on that team. Can they stop people? But this defense, this whole division, there should be a lot of points scored.
Yeah, and they played in the Loud House, down there in Indianapolis. So it's definitely it's going to be interesting to see.
All right, let's go to the last division, the AFC West. The Chiefs. This is the largest division favorite on the board at minus 275. I mean, it's not free money, but it's, you got to pay a heavy price for it. The Chiefs are plus 300 to win the AFC and plus 550 to win the Super Bowl, the shortest odds there. The Chargers come in next at plus 350 to win the division. Then it actually goes Raiders plus 1,200, and then the Broncos plus 1,800. I'm a little bit confused here. So I know the Raiders finished really strongly down the stretch, but you know what they did at quarterback, which is basically nothing. Gardner Minshew is going to start for them. I guess it's sort of an upgrade over Jimmy G, and then they obviously are not going to start Aiden O'Connell. The defense is good, and I do like the coach a lot, but that offense, lost Josh Jacobs, they're going Zamir White, they have Devontae Adams, but I'm a little surprised. And the Broncos, everybody's just crapping on the Broncos, and I guess I should too. I've never been a Bo Nix fan, but they announced him as the starter. I just kind of would flip those teams in this division. I know the Chiefs are obviously going to win this one, so we don't have to worry too much about it. And then the Chargers, I love Harbaugh. I want him to do great, but they have a lot of work on the roster, so I didn't have them making the playoffs this year. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on this division?
I think the Broncos are way underrated here.
Yeah.
I think they're the best value pick. Obviously, to go out on a limb and say they're going to win a division, that's probably not going to happen. No. But they have arguably the second best coach in the division with Sean Payton.
Yeah,
he's probably right up there with Harbaugh as far as like the pro ranks goes.
Right.
So, but no, it's tough to pick against the Chiefs. They've done it year in and year out.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what their offense looks like this year. With Xavier Worthy and a couple other pieces. Obviously, Rashid Rice had his whole incident in the offseason, which I still don't understand how Jordan Addison gets a 6-game suspension for a DUI, but literally Rashid Rice did kind of the same thing, and he doesn't get any kind of just a slap on the wrist, basically.
Right.
So the NFLPA, this could be a hell of a CBA negotiation next time. So, but no, if I were to go on a limb, I would definitely pick the Broncos. I think they're underrated. I think Bo Nix does in Sean Payton's offense what Drew Brees would do. He gets the ball out on time. He gets it to the right guy. He makes the right reads. He seems like he doesn't panic too much in the pocket. And he seems comfortable. So, to make that transition, obviously it's preseason that we have to go by, and everything's very simplified in preseason. There's not a lot of, exotic schemes or anything like that going on because they really want to evaluate talent.
Yeah.
But, I think that this team is underrated. They've got 3 good running backs. They've got P. Ryan, they've got McLaughlin, and they've got Javonte Williams.
Right.
They did lose Jerry Jeudy, but I think he's probably more of a cancer to that locker room than anything. Mm-hmm. So. And they have the advantage of elevation. So some people do forget about that, making that travel out there. But,
they say their secondary's bad. They keep saying their secondary's bad, but, their defense wasn't god-awful last year. I don't know. It's strange to me. I think Peyton is going to get the team in a decent spot. Maybe not to win the division, of course, but maybe to challenge for a spot in the playoff. I don't have them that high up, actually. I think it's like 7 and 10, but I don't know. It's just the Raiders got a lot of love for the way they finished the season. That's great, but I don't think they're going to win a lot of games like 17 to 15. Because they kept winning those really low-scoring games late. I don't think they're going to do that. Definitely not in this division. The Chargers certainly going to run the ball more with Harbaugh now and Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator. They're just going to run the ball. Poor Justin Herbert. But, maybe they'll win more games.
They definitely won't blow as many games as they did with Brandon Staley.
There's no way. There's no way. So, I don't know. Besides that, obviously, you're on the Chiefs for the division, and I guess we can transition into our let's wait on that for the end. We'll go through the rest of the divisions in the NFC, and then we'll go to our picks for the playoffs. So, in the NFC, we'll start in the NFC East. Here's where I'm going to give you a little tip with the NFC East. Nobody wins back-to-back championships for the division. It's been seriously since it's been 15 years or something.
I think it's 16 seasons, yeah.
So the Eagles are going to win this division. They're minus 125 for the division. The Cowboys are plus 170. The Cowboys snuck in at the end, even though the Eagles were way up and they blew it. Eagles are plus 600 for the NFC title and then plus 1,400 for the Super Bowl. Dare even say the Cowboys Super Bowl futures? They can't win a Super Bowl, right?
Not with this team.
Plus 850 for the NFC. Your commies, you love the commies. I know
do.
You do. Plus 900 for the
really
East. I won't give the rest of it. And then the Giants plus 1,400 East. I think this is a sneaky team, the Giants, to be the worst team in the NFL.
Really? Okay.
Yes. I know that odds-wise, and I actually didn't do this, I put the Commanders worse, but I think that the Commanders with Jaden Daniels have way more upside, of course. Their defense is going to suck, but they can keep shucking.
Yeah.
They didn't end up landing Brandon Ayuk in the end.
Right.
I thought that would really help them, but Jaden Daniels would be my Rookie of the Year favorite at this time.
You want a spicy take?
Sure.
So, do you think by week 13 that the Giants are going to make Daniel Jones sit because of his injury guarantee in his contract? Kind of the same Russell Wilson situation, how they made him sit?
Yeah.
So I think you can see the same thing in New York, to where they're going to sit Daniel Jones just so they don't have to pay out an injury year on his contract year so they can get rid of him next year.
I think they're definitely going to
I think that'd be really spicy to see. Yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see. So, and that's the one thing about their organization too is we all make mistakes. We all make bad picks. We all do fantasy football. We've all been like, damn, what was I thinking when I did that? But to do that and then double down on your bad pick, like the Moras have done with this, is it's completely asinine, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
It's a complete a blunder. I mean, you can't put enough negative words out in the atmosphere to describe the situation that they're in. But yeah, I love the commies. Mm-hmm. I think the commies are very sneaky. I have them in the playoffs this year.
So you got plus minus in the playoffs.
Yeah, I see the Eagles winning this division and the commies coming in second.
Okay.
I see the Cowboys taking a huge step back. They got CeeDee Lamb signed, but he's literally the only guy on offense. Rigo Dowdle is your starting running back, I think, or maybe Zeke is at 33 years old or 32 years old. So yeah. I don't see a lot of upside there. And plus, one injury. If CeeDee Lamb gets hurt, they're done. Their season is over.
They don't really have Brandon Cooks is their second.
They have, they just don't have the depth, in my opinion, to be able to at least compete with those bigger teams. And I think Jahan Dotson going to Philly is actually going to be a sneaky addition for them.
Okay.
For the Eagles, and they got Saquon Barkley now too. So
yeah.
I think they're going to be a very physical football team head to toe. But yeah, no, I really like the commies. If you were to put a future even to them win a division, I don't think you're crazy at all. Because I think Jaden Daniels is way ahead. I think he's very similar to Josh Allen, but I think he's farther along in his progression than Josh Allen was.
He's more accurate passer.
He's about the same runner. But yeah, to your point, Jaden Daniels, he's had 60% completion percentage his last 3 years in college, to where Josh Allen never sniffed 60%.
Right.
So. I really like the comments.
Okay, interesting.
Terry McLaurin.
So you like him week 1 against Tampa on the road?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my potential survivor guys, so maybe stay away from that one.
Oh.
So, okay, well, I still like the Eagles to win the division. I get it. I hear what you're saying with the commies. I would love to ride the commies and roll some money lines on, underdog money lines, the dogs barking. And I'm not totally fading Dallas. I think they probably can make the playoffs again. It's just...
I don't see them finishing above 500.
Really?
Yeah. I just don't see it.
Wow.
I don't see it.
So they've won 12 games the last 3 years in a row. You think they're going to drop down to 8 wins?
I could see them 8-9, yeah.
Okay.
The NFC they did get a little bit better, the NFC in general. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't see how the stars align to where this team is going to win, 8 or 9 games. And they have, let's see here, this is great podcasting. They have the 22nd hardest schedule in the league. So
okay,
it's not like they've got a cupcake of a schedule to begin with. So yeah, like I said, one injury and this team's done. They're playing with fire.
You got Zeke at running back,
and they have just the whole saga of Dak Prescott too is I can't wait for next year for the free agency because it's going to be amazing to see how much money that man gets.
Oh my gosh!
I'd love to be his agent right now.
I know, Jerry. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Let's go to the NFC North, my home division here. I think it's probably arguably the second best division, in terms of top to bottom. You've got the Lions at plus 130 to win the division. They're plus 550 to win the NFC, which is second, and plus 1,200 to win the Super Bowl. The Packers plus 210. for the division, plus 800 for the NFC, and plus 1,800 for the Super Bowl. The Bears at plus 325 for the North, and then the Vikings at plus 900 for the North. So the Vikings obviously lost J.J. McCarthy right away, in first preseason game, so that's tough for them. I think that hurts them quite a bit, even though they have those weapons there. The Bears, Sam Darnold, man. I mean, he's amazing.
He's only 25 years old.
I know.
That's what's crazy.
It's his fourth stop now, right? Because he went to Carolina.
Jets, Carolina,
San Francisco.
Yeah.
So the Bears, obviously, being a homer, I'm not picking against them. I think they're going to win 9 games. I think they're going to be pretty good. I just don't know if Caleb's going to take them that next step. And I think you've already read my article. I'm all over the Packers, too. Not just in the division. I think they're really live. Now, I listened to my podcast guy, and he does not think that. But they switched defensive coordinators, way more aggressive style this year. Joe Barry's out, thank God. He was like soft milquetoast defense. Jordan Love got paid. They've got the young receivers. Now, granted, if he goes down, they're screwed. Their backup's terrible.
Well, they got Malik Willis now.
Oh, they just signed Malik Willis, thank God.
They traded for him, yeah. Because it was really funny. So I was reading on Twitter, too, so Sean Clifford replaced somebody at Penn State. I cannot remember.
Okay.
And then, literally...
McSorley?
No.
No?
This is again great podcasting.
Yeah,
but right. But Malik, but then when they traded for Malik Willis, now he's backing up the guy that replaced Sean Clifford at Penn State. So it's just like the whole saga of how that all happened is just interesting.
Yeah, but I really like them, and I hate to say this as a Bears fan. The way I look at teams, and it doesn't work out every time because the NFL is weird, but they figured something out. They figured out their offense. Second half of the season, they were dominant. Should have beat San Francisco in the playoffs. They beat the Lions late in the year. I mean, I think they were the best team in the division last year at the end of the year. Yeah. But Detroit obviously, kind of got by the Rams and sort of got by Tampa, and then really should have beat San Francisco too. So I understand the Lions' love. They probably have a better roster. I just feel like they're playing the first place schedule. It's going to be a tougher road for them. I still think they're going to make the playoffs, but I would take the Packers at the division plus 210, and I told you, I'm on plus 1,800, 18 to 1 for the Super Bowl, dude.
Man. I mean, wow, those are good odds. Mm-hmm. I really like the Bears because they have by far the easiest schedule out of these three teams. They have the third easiest schedule in the league.
Yes,
so
I see that.
My only big thing is Matt Eberflus the guy?
Don't think so.
That's my biggest question mark with this team. We've already seen the defense play well.
Great defensive coordinator.
They went undefeated in the preseason. If we've watched Hard Knocks at all, I think this team actually gels really well. They seem to have a lot of community and camaraderie, which I think is always key.
Rome
Odunze is going to be pretty good. And there's a lot of hype finally. There's actually positive feelings about this team finally in the
defense
city.
Looked incredible in the preseason.
But yeah, I like the Bears.
Plus 325.
I do. Yeah, okay. I like the Bears here. I think that the Packers do have the best head coach. Yeah. Maybe him and obviously the taller Sean McVay in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell. But I would really like the Vikings if they had a little bit better quarterback play. I think they would be a really sneaky team. I still think Sam Darnold can play.
Though, right?
Yeah, but you still got Justin Jefferson and T.J. Hawkinson and Jordan Addison.
They're an overtime.
I'm telling you right now, I'm just going to say this in the microphone. The first 3 or 4 weeks, I think you got to ride overs. I think with the new kickoff rule, it's going to really improve field position.
Okay.
And I think that's going to lead to more points. So watch those overs. I think it's going to take Vegas about 3 weeks to adjust to that. So I think we're going to ride the over train when we go out next week.
Even though usually defenses are ahead of offenses at this stage?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. But
I think certain teams, I mean, the Vikings, Titans, teams are just going to get eviscerated. They're going to be chucking Arizona.
But I think, to your point, this is going to be a very ultra-competitive division. I think there's not really a pushover team, even though the Vikings technically are the pushover team. But still, you're still going to – you got to worry about Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wide receiver in the league. So
the Vikings are actually favored at the Giants in week 1, I think.
Do they really?
Yeah.
The biggest thing I forgot to mention, too, the biggest thing with the Lions, if you look at they play 3 games all year not in a dome.
I know, I heard that.
So if you a fantasy kicker this year, you're taking Detroit's kicker. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but yeah, they literally play. I think they play the Bears, obviously. Yes. They play the Packers, and then they go, I think, to San Francisco. And those are the only 3 games they play not in a dome all year. So Jared Goff is about to have probably a fantasy season for the ages.
I agree.
So just something to keep your eye on in that regard. I think.
And they paid St. Brown. Obviously he's been paid. And Laporta's back to healthy. Jahmyr Gibbs is a little banged up, but he'll be okay. Yeah, it's going to be a fun division. Really fun. I wouldn't probably put all my money on the division. I mean, well, plus 325 I would. But yeah, I'm kind of staying on the division race until it kind of ferrets itself out a little bit.
Yeah. And for the first time in Detroit history, they have expectations.
I know, which I think is bad.
Yeah, which I don't like for them. But we'll see. Dan Terra might have the right culture going. We'll see what happens.
Never kick the field goal. So NFC South, this is a bit of a shakeup with the Falcons. Of course, last year they got a new coach. Raheem Morris is in minus 134 now for the South. They're like a heavy favorite, which I'm like, what have they done? I did this last year. I fell for the Falcons. Plus 1,300 in the NFC. The Bucs are plus 333 to win the South. And they've won the division 3 years in a row. The Saints plus 400, and then the Panthers plus 1,100. I don't understand, dude. I'm on your train to do the Bucs. What are you doing?
I was going to say, last year you knew.
I tried
telling you last year.
You tried to tell me, and I was wrong. Now, granted, they had that weird thing in the middle. They went 4-1 or something, and then they lost they went 1-5, and then they closed really strong. They should have beat the Lions last year, and they've got the same team. The defense is great. I mean, Mike Evans is back. He's not retiring. They paid Baker. I know that the Falcons got better. They did get better. They got Kirk Cousins, obviously, from Minnesota. They got Judon, obviously, from the Patriots. He's playing for something now.
They got another safety, too, to play with Jesse Bates. They have arguably the best safety tandem in the league.
They finally will probably get, Bijan Robinson the football. Yeah. And maybe even Kyle Pitts. He's on a milk carton. He's back. He's out of the milk carton business.
No, not yet. Don't say
I just think the Bucs are the better football team, dude. I mean, I don't understand. Everybody loves the Falcons. I just don't get it.
Man.
You like the Falcons, huh?
I would prefer. I think I'd take Kirk Cousins over Baker Mayfield.
There's no question there.
This is the biggest toss-up to me. I could see the Saints being good this year too.
Really? I think he's the first guy fired this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dennis Allen's definitely coaching for his job, but I think the shift in personnel. If you look at their scheme, they're gonna run a lot more 22 personnel as well.
This is the Saints?
Yeah, they're only going to have, their two main wide receivers are going to be Olave and Shaheed.
Yep.
So if you're looking for fantasy sleepers, those are your two guys as well. I'll give you that little nugget.
Got him on one team.
Yeah, I'll give you that little nugget. I'm going real big on Shaheed this year because he's going to see the field so much more. And nobody ran more 9 routes, verticals, than the Saints did last year. So I definitely could see them mixing up their offense. No one ran more go routes than this team did. So
Derek Carr, he's not a big arm guy.
Yeah, right. Just to run down there and chuck it is just interesting. They're basically playing jackpot. So I actually think the Panthers will be a nice surprise this year. I definitely
think so?
I do. I think Deontay Johnson's going to be a big addition for them in that wide receiving core. Hopefully Bryce Young has a little bit better of a showing. Otherwise, they're going to be back in the Stone Ages of this organization.
Now, their running back that's coming off of the ACL, he's a rookie, I think. He'll be back after week 4.
Yep.
He'll probably overtake Chuba, but
probably.
We'll see. The Panthers are still a bet against team for me, and I'm not saying I will bet against the Falcons every week, but it's I like Kirk Cousins. I really do. I think he's got a great story, amazing story. He is still never won jack shit. So I'm just saying, show me something. And obviously he's coming off an Achilles. They did pick up, what's his name? Lefty. The rookie.
For who? Oh, Michael Penix.
Michael Penix.
Yeah.
So they do have something behind. Actually, I think he could play pretty well.
Which is interesting because they didn't play him after the first, I think they sat him down after the second preseason game. He didn't play any more of the preseason after that. So
they don't want to get him hurt.
I think they see a lot of good things in him. And the other thing I forgot to mention when I was looking at stats. So last year, Desmond Ridder was a 17% ball placement incompletion. So they have a stat that they actually track incompletions based on quarterback accuracy.
Right. Well,
Desmond Ridder was 17%. He was the worst in the league. Do you know who the best in the league was last year?
Kirk Cousins?
That is correct. He was 2% of the time he was inaccurate with his passes of incompletion. So I think that alone is going to be a huge factor for this team. Kyle Pitts, Drake London. Sure. The offense has never been really a question. It's always been the quarterback with this team. So I really like them. Their defense is going to be salty. I think there's a lot to like here.
I just feel to me, the Falcons are the Chargers of the NFC. Always you fall for them.
You and everybody else's bankrolls a lot
2 years in
lighter.
a row, dude. They were metrically, they should have won games or covered spreads, and they just couldn't do it. Different era, different team. We'll see what happens. All right, let's move to the NFC West. Obviously, the 49ers have been dominant there for the last few years. Plus 250 or minus 215 in the West, so they're a heavy favorite. They're also the NFC favorite at plus 250. and plus 600 for the Super Bowl, so the second favorite, shortest favorite there. The Rams plus 350, NFC plus 1,300, leave out the Super Bowl. Seahawks plus 800 for the West, and the Cardinals at plus 1,300. So as you look at this division, you know how I feel about Brock Purdy. We've probably talked about this ad nauseum. Look, this team's great. They've got a good roster, but how long can they stay up there? They've been up there for a long time and haven't gotten it done. We know McCaffrey might be a little banged up coming to the season. To me, if they lose him, they have big problems. They did sort it out with Ayuk. So I do see them, they can make the title game. They can get there, but I don't think they're going to get back to the Super Bowl.
They don't have Trent Williams.
Well, he hasn't been signed yet. But
until they get Trent Williams, I think he's the biggest caveat of this
whole
offense. Because that offensive line is average at best without him.
Right.
Like the pass rush rate or the win rate, he's like top 3 in the league. The rest of them, the next closest guy is 100. It's not even close.
Yeah.
So, and to your point, we've talked to Brock Purdy ad nauseum, and I think if you speed him up at all or not make him, if he gets a little uncomfy back there, right. I think he can get a little happy feet. And, we've seen him play average before. I mean, when they played the Browns last year in Cleveland, he looked average at best.
What about when he played Minnesota at Minnesota? I think it was without Trent Williams, and he played real bad.
I think he had 3 picks that game, if I remember right.
Yeah.
I really like the Rams here.
Okay.
This is really funny how I was looking at Super Bowl picks and we picked 2 NFC teams. Mm-hmm. So at the gauntlet of quarterbacks in the AFC, but. No, I just like the Rams. I think they have the best head coach.
Yes.
They have coach. 2 great wide receivers. Hopefully Cooper Kupp is healthy and comes back, ready to rock and roll this season. But him and Nakua, they have Henderson and running back.
Kyren
Williams, excuse me. They have Kyren Williams at running back, and I think the defense is getting better. They have the right personnel.
Well, they did lose Donald though.
They did lose Donald, but they didn't have Donald last year.
He got hurt late in the year?
I don't think he played.
I thought he did play. That was 2 years ago.
Okay. My fault. But yeah, I like where this team is going. They're younger, which I think is really a big key as well.
Big.
But I really like this team. I think Stafford's got a lot to play for in legacy as well. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he played really well at the end of the year too. And they
had a great season.
Yeah, they could have had a playoff run, especially if he wouldn't have gotten hurt. I feel like
they should have beat the Lions.
They definitely should have for sure. But I also think the sneaky team that could be here is the Cardinals. I'm really big on Kyler Murray this year in fantasy, just for the fact that we've always seen, and from a fantasy perspective, Kyler Murray's always been like a top 12 quarterback, just basically based on his legs.
Right.
Now he's got Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah,
arguably a top 10 wide. He could be a top 10 wide receiver.
Probably the favorite for offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, Jaden Daniels, Caleb. I mean, there's a couple quarterbacks in there that'd be tough, but. Yeah. I like this. I like them just from that point of fantasy. I don't know if they're going to win a lot of games. I could maybe see them winning 6 or 7. If they get to 500,
I think it's going to be
year.
shootouts. That team is an over team. That's one of those over teams that I would target for sure.
And I think the opposite of that, the Seahawks are an under team. I think their defense is going to be really solid.
McDonald,
yeah. I think their defense is going to be really great. It's just that can Geno go back to the 2022 version of Geno Smith instead of the 2023 version. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Look for that name.
JSN.
Because I think, right.
This is the year he overtakes Tyler Lockett.
I think Tyler Lockett's going to take a step back this year.
I think the Seahawks are the dark horse of the division.
Really?
Now, I've heard a lot of buzz. There's a lot of steam. I wrote in the article for Mike McDonald to be coach of the year. He was all the way at 20-1. Now he's down to 12-1 in some places, or 10-1. I think you can still get him at 16-1 at Rivers. That's how I would bet this. Instead of betting the division odds, I would bet him for coach of the year.
Okay.
Because then you have, actually it's a better number, and then if they somehow pull off the division with 49ers in there, he'll definitely win because, they're plus 800, right? So I don't know, though. I'm not sold on it. I didn't actually have them even in the playoffs, per se. I'm 7-10. I think see them. It's a big step down for Pete Carroll. I mean, he was a legacy guy. I mean, not as good as, Belichick, but I mean, certainly had a culture. But all the reports are coming really positively out of Seattle right now. So I hear you. Cardinals are going to be, one of those ATS teams, frisky as you like it, and you like the Rams here. So you're talking about a shakeup here. Do you think the 49ers miss the playoffs?
I could see it.
Wow.
I could see it happening.
That'd be big. The S&O price is probably a good positive.
If they don't get Trent Williams figured out, they don't get that situation figured out, I think they're going to be in trouble. Mm-hmm. And to your point with McCaffrey's health, and there just seems to be a lot of noise around them this year. And not in a good way either. Like it's a lot of it's the Ayuks, the Trent Williams.
Yeah, everybody's mouths, a lot of cranky mouths over there.
Yeah,
and I think that's never good. Like the year before, they obviously Purdy got hurt, and obviously like there was a lot of griping. Oh, if he didn't get hurt, they could have beat the Eagles. I don't think they could have.
Right.
So last year they came back with a vengeance, but I really think you've had superior production by McCaffrey for whatever it was. He's been in San Francisco for
2.5 years.
Yeah,
3 years.
But now the touches are going to add up. Elijah Mitchell's already hurt; he's out for the year. The backup, and Kittle he was absent in the Super Bowl. I don't know. We haven't heard much from him. I agree. I think it's not that they're going to crater, but they're going to take a step back. Whether that's in the playoffs or I still got them win the division, but in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, and then Ricky Pearsall just got shot yesterday.
I saw that.
Did you see that too? Yeah, arm robbery. Yeah.
What the hell?
Got shot in the chest.
Saw that.
It's crazy.
I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah, shout out. Hopefully he does well in his recovery and comes back, because he was going to be one of the replacements for Debo or Ayuk.
Right.
Like they got 2 wide receivers in the draft this past year. So
they did. Well, let's talk about the playoffs then. We've kind of jumped to the Final Four, and we've talked about some. We don't have to go through full playoff pictures, but you have pretty interesting stuff here. Your picks, Coop. So I want you to go first. Your AFC is astounding, but I mean, let's. Do you think that the Titans? I'm sorry, Texans. You've got Texans over the Chiefs.
I do.
Do you think that's in KC or that's in Houston? Do you think they have a better record and they're hosting the
No,
Chiefs?
I think it's an Arrowhead.
Okay.
I would say it's probably an Arrow. I don't think the Chiefs will be the 1 seed, though.
Really?
I think the Chiefs will probably be the 2 or the 3.
Okay. Who do you think the 1 seed will be?
I could see it being the Bengals.
Okay.
I could see the Bengals being the 1 seed. I could even see the Jets being the 1 seed as well.
The Jets.
So,
you love the Jets.
We'll see.
Where's your Aaron Rodgers jersey?
I know, right? Well, he should be in jail forever. Anyway. But yeah, I'm real high on the Texans. I think they have too many weapons. They've got a great culture. Like then I think they know how good they are, and I think that's half the battle in this league is having that confidence to know that they have a guy behind. They got a guy that they trust in, they believe in, that that they can get it done. So.
I gotcha. Well, I got the Bengals over the Chiefs. So
Again,
I know,
nice.
shocker.
We're double dipping.
Again, ha. This is repeat of last year's preview, but I think the thing is, and I don't know, maybe it's different. The Bengals in high leverage games against the Chiefs have not lost.
No.
And they've actually won an Arrowhead once in the playoffs. They've beaten them a couple of times in the regular season too. So I like the Bengals here. I did not have them winning the division, but I think they're a team that can go on the road and win.
Yeah,
I think
Anarumo
can coach it, but also you've got a guy. So it would be awesome. Actually, I have Bengals beating Houston, I think, in the divisional round, so that would be an awesome game too. So what about your NFC? I started jumped in there.
Joe Mixon revenge game?
Joe Mixon revenge game.
Yeah.
Right.
No, for the NFC, I have the Rams over the Eagles.
Okay.
I'm real big on. I'm big on the Rams. I just think they.
Yeah.
I believe in Sean McVay. I really do.
Well, he came back last year. He was motivated and focused, and he got it done.
And I think he's going to be the catalyst of this team again this year. He just sets the tone for that whole organization. Really, I mean, the fact that they were talking about him retiring a couple years ago, I think was just crazy because they were talking about him going to maybe television and doing that. But I just think he's out for vengeance, and I think he's out to prove that he is the best coach in this division. Because Kyle Shanahan gets all the flowers and the praise, and but he doesn't win
a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I think he's got a losing playoff record even. Maybe it's like right at 500.
Maybe.
But yeah, I think the Rams are going to be salty. I think Nakua is going to have a nice big year again, and obviously they got Cooper Kupp to go with him. So I just like that team.
I like it. I mean, both those teams I have in the playoffs, so we're not too far off. I got Packers over the 49ers in Lambeau.
Well,
I got the Packers winning and being the best record in the league, actually.
Really?
I know it's a little bit
13-4?
Like 14-3. I mean, that's crazy. I know I'm an extreme when I pick these picks, but I just think they're going to win the division. I think the Lions are going to take a step back, and when Purdy goes to Lambeau, it's going to be another story. Like they're going to take it out.
Was there a team that won 14 games last year?
Maybe.
I thought 13 was
Chiefs.
No, because they were the 2 seed. The Ravens were the 1 seed.
They were probably 13 wins.
I think
it's hard to win 14.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a big stretch there, Jimbo.
I know, it's a big one. I'm not doing like I did last year with the Jaguars winning the most. I had them winning the most games last year, and it was looking great.
It was.
It was like 8-2, 8-3, and then they just cratered. But look, it's a bit extreme, but I do like the Pack. I told you that. Yeah. Beating the 49ers, like kind of similar stuff that we were talking about. It could have been the Eagles. I think I have 49ers beating the Lions. No, I had the Lions losing in the first round. 49ers beating like the Bucs or something like that. So,
and I have the Rams over the Texans in the Super Bowl this year.
Wow.
So I think the Rams will be the 2024-2025 Super Bowl
Interesting.
champions.
So they bounce back and come back, and Stafford gets a second ring.
Yeah, I think I think he retire. I think if that happens, I think he will retire.
Okay.
Because he'll have the legacy. He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer at that point. No question.
I got the Pack winning the Super Bowl. I know that my Bears fans hate me right now, but I think we both are doing a similar trend. We're not seeing the Chiefs win it all again. So that's
I just didn't want to do it.
Straight.
I just didn't want to do the 12.
Well, nobody's done it.
Yeah.
Nobody's done 3 straight. So now we're just Chiefs can't win. It probably would be good money later if they but I don't think they're going to have a tough regular season. I think it's just doing it again in the playoffs with not subpar talent. They have great guys. In fact, the defense is almost better than the offense. But can he do it again? He can.
I don't know. I mean, barring injury, it'd be tough to see him not do it, But I just didn't want to be chalk. I just
go on a limb.
Yeah, it's got a deviation, right? Like we got to get something different. So I'm going with the Rams. I like the Rams.
Okay.
I got a 1 in 32 chance to be right. So
the Rams. Then, if we look at this again, they're 28 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. That's pretty good.
And they have the 17th. They have the 17th hardest schedule. So they're like right in the middle as far as strength of schedule, which isn't hateful.
Yeah, I mean, with 28 to 1 is better than 18 to 1. I mean, so you might as well put some shekels there, either here wherever you go, Rivers or DraftKings, or when you get out to Vegas, and then you can have a good time. So that's a transition. Vegas, baby.
Yeah,
we're like 4 days away. Man.
We are.
We're flying out on the 5th. What time do you get in?
A little after 3 o'clock. I think.
Nice. I'm 2:45. 2:45 Pacific. So going to be exciting. We're gonna have 8 people for the first couple days. We're gonna hopefully tape live on Friday. That's the plan.
Oh, yeah.
From hopefully the pool or somewhere. It's not too bad. We'll miss the first game. If we want to talk about the first game, it's the Ravens Chiefs there. And then I'm going to put in my entries before we do that stuff. I'm going to go with my sister on Friday morning and go over there. Now, you're welcome to join. I can't afford to do more entries than we're going to do. I'm splitting entries with Action, but
nice.
You got an extra grand laying around. Throw it in there. And then on Saturday, we have the day party. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, with Edmund, right?
Edmund.
Yeah.
I haven't got any confirmation, but I'm sure it's going to happen. Even if it doesn't, we're cool.
Yeah, we got some college football to watch all day. Yeah, we'll find a sports book or
and then
pool.
Stadium Swim is on Sunday, so that's a full weekend.
Oh, man. Hope your voice is back by then.
Oh, it'll be back then. I mean, some people like this voice.
Last time I checked on weather, it's going to be over 100 every day.
I know, 105.
So, oh, my God.
Shit.
Hope we're by the pool. That's all I got. Even then, though, it's going to be...
Vegas.
Yeah,
they get an excessive heat warning. No shit.
Death Valley.
Yeah, it's like, come on, guys. But that's the thing about, we don't have a booth. We have a booth, not a cabana right now at Stadium Swim. But we're going to win big money at the tables.
We're bringing the sunscreen. That's all I got. That's all I know.
Bring a hat.
Yeah, that too.
Bring a hat. Bring some shades. I don't wear shades on the beach. You know this? In Vegas, I wear shades. I have to.
Yeah. If you're going to sit by the pool in Vegas, you have to wear sunglasses.
Well, you've seen the famous picture of Jimmy Wegs the first time he went to Stadium Swim in circa March 2021?
No, I have not.
Oh, God. I looked like I was high, drunk, and everything. I was definitely drunk. I wasn't high, but my eyes were all red. I got sunscreen and sweat in my eyes for hours. Couldn't get them cleaned. It was so terrible. But anyway, we've got primetime coming. We've got Scotty Doesn't Know.
The boys are going to be back.
We've got Dave from Arizona.
Oh, he's coming.
Oh, he's coming, baby.
Well, did we get Mitch Alcock?
We're still working on Mitch Alcock. I'm trying to get people to fund Mitch Alcock's trip.
Oh, really?
And then what I'm telling people is just stake him for the trip, and then he can win the money at the tables and pay you back.
Oh my God, that's genius!
It works out great.
Yeah, we're gonna start a GoFundMe. If you would like to see Mitch Alcock in Vegas, feel free to Venmo me or donate to the cause.
That's right. Yeah. Contact us on our social media outlets.
Yeah.
You got Lieutenant Cavs.
Nice.
Obviously.
Yeah, Lee.
And then we've got Edmund, as we mentioned, and then we've got Ridgeway to show up before. It's like a pre-show.
Nice.
Pre-game.
Yeah.
She's not really going to be there for...
She's going to be there for like a day and a half, give or take.
She's going to be there before us. She's getting in late Wednesday night.
Nice. Okay.
It's fine. And then we fly out Monday, and then Jimmy Wegs heads out to, Hawaii.
Man.
So, bring the shirt, though. Bring your Hawaii shirt.
September is a busy month for me, too, because we've got Vegas. The next weekend after that, I'm the best man in the wedding.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks.
You got a speech ready?
Yeah, I've kind of put some notes together at least. I'm definitely more of like a bullet point.
Yeah,
well, not like improv, like a little bit of improv, but like a little bit of like a thought as well.
Yeah,
like put a little bit like the sentimental stuff I put together, but like in the moment kind of throw it together. And the week after that, I'm going to Bristol with my mom. We're going to the NASCAR races. She's got season tickets to Bristol, so we usually do that once. I haven't been down in about 3 or 4 years, but I figured it'd be a good way to get some content and make some NASCAR stuff. So we'll definitely see what happens.
That's great. Well, good. And then obviously we have Labor Day tournaments tomorrow.
Yeah, the Pirate Flag, baby.
Pirate Flag for you. I'm doing Lisa's tournament. The twos, I'll probably go up to Pirate Flag eventually. And then, you want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah. We're doing just in case anybody out there is a puckhead like myself, because we don't get a chance to talk hockey.
Dempsey is.
Yeah, just say we don't get a chance to talk too much hockey on here. So Jimmy Wegs isn't about it, which is fine. But we've started a podcast on the side. I guess yours truly is the host of that one. But it's Between the Benches. We're going to be releasing episodes. I have 5 of them saved up right now. We're going to start releasing here in the next couple weeks. I think training camp opens in the middle of September, so we wanted to make the content a little bit relative, if you will. And then obviously throughout the season, we'll be putting out weekly episodes. You can check out we do a lot of fantasy advice. The 2 guys I do it with are Brock and Graham. They're both Canadian, which automatically makes them experts in hockey.
Exactly.
And they're big puckheads. So they follow Brock, especially. He does, I think, about 10 fantasy leagues a year when it comes to hockey. So he's all about puck. Puck is life with this guy. So
puck you.
Yeah,
puck
exactly.
You, puck me, puck you.
What the puck is going on. But yeah, feel free to check that out. Like I said, in the coming weeks, we'll start releasing episodes. So even if you're not a fan of the game, if you want to just check it out and just learn more about it, it is a good time. It's very much like this. It's very laid back. A lot of good conversation and stuff like that. A little bit of it. You played it last week. It was cool. Yeah. So looking forward to doing that. And then, like I said, we're going to Vegas. It's gonna, like I said, we're gonna be traveling so much the next 3 weeks. It's gonna be wild. I might not have a voice next time we get together.
Yeah, honestly. Exactly. This is what happens when you stay out too late.
Speaking of being out too late, I didn't get back until like 4 a.m. last night. And then I got like 2.5 hours. Yeah, I got like 2.5 hours of sleep just because the sun was up and I was up.
Yeah.
So
you look fresh. You look fine.
Yeah, thanks. It's hydrate. Yeah. 30 has, it's on the horizon technically.
Yeah, it's almost there. It's up there somewhere.
It's out there. It's
almost 11 months away.
You can see it. That's the thing. You can kind of see it. It's kind of peeking over the horizon. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, follow us at Side Action Pod on X and on Instagram, and Side Action Podcast on Instagram. Follow me at Wegspool on X and on Instagram.
You can check me out on Instagram at Dalton Cooper and on X at Mr. Grumpy Gills. Again, we are the Side Action Pod. Check us out on X and on Instagram at Side Action Pod. Until next week when we're sitting live, poolside.
Hopefully poolside.
Hopefully with some views, maybe some heat, obviously.
It's going to be some heat.
Yeah, we're going to bring the heat for sure. That 100-degree temperature ain't got nothing on us. So.
Yeah, definitely some hydration besides cocktails.
Maybe the belt will make an appearance.
Oh, well, you're definitely bringing the belt.
Oh, yeah. You can't go to Vegas and not bring the belt. Like, we're going to be talking to town.
How many bottle girls are going to be wearing that belt through the weekend? That's my question. The over-under
honestly,
I guess say 2.5.
2.5. I was thinking how many people are gonna stop and ask for pictures, or like want to hold it or whatever. Too.
You could make money on the strip.
Honestly,
you know those people
like souvenir pictures.
Well, no, yeah,
but we got the camera. I've got
you got the camera. Like, hey, do you want to put it on the belt? Want to put it on the belt? Just tape.
$2 souvenir
just a tip.
Yeah,
just a tip.
That's how we pay for Mitch Alcock to go.
Yes, I'll text him right now. Mitch,
oh my God,
Mitch, we have an angle.
We've got it in.
Just get a flight out there. We'll figure out how to get you an hotel.
Well, there it is. Until Friday, guys. We love you.
Right.
See you later.
Bye.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Side Action Podcast. We appreciate all of your listens and thank you for joining us. We'll see you all again next week on Thursday for some more hot picks and side action. Side Action Podcast, its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the show hosts or their guests. Statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of this podcast, and opinions between talk show hosts may conflict. Individuals following the advice given on the podcast accept their own risk of losses from wagers made. As the Side Action Podcast, its owners, hosts, associates, or guests will not guarantee any advice given. The opinions and advice given on the Side Action Podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Intro and outro and transition music credits. Song titles Jerry 5 and District 4 by Kevin McLeod at incompetech.org. Licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0. creativecommons.org/licenses/by 3.0.